Esports. Again, between these two teams, the Motsu has been one of those heroes that has been not really contested. It's been something they both play. But the thing with the Motsu is if you are playing on the back foot, it's a hard pick to come back from. Because if you look at LGD's roster, they've got such an aggressive roster here, and that's just going to be completely thickened out with the Lian Po with some fantastic engage potentials. Those triple knockups that you have from that ultimate, it's going to be really hard, especially paired in with the Hugh Huan in the jungle. That team fight's going to be lasting for quite some time, Kin.
Yep, exactly. And his main role here is actually to soak up the cannon blast coming out from the mortar, right? And because he is anti-CC based every time he uses a skill, you can expect that he's going to jump the backlines as well. But he has one more very important job, and that is to keep the Clash lane under control, which is going to be Tempest on that Ma Yin, because Ma Yin should not touch the backline of LGD. It's going to be an instant melting of kills for the side of Loops if they get their hands on the backline.
Yeah, no, that's probably the main goal there for the likes of the Lian Po, but then also for the Hugh Huan to try and just sustain that backline like you were saying there, Ken. But really interesting first game team comps here for both of these teams. A little bit of familiarity coming through for both of Loops and LGD Gaming as they go into game one. This is those new joining in at home. This is the first game of the semi-finals, so that statement alone really shows you the gravity of what's at stake in this first game in the best of 5.
Yeah, for sure. And LGD doing the typical fashion of trying to steal the first camp across the game itself. It looks like Xiang will be successful in doing so. So this is a benefit for the side of LGD's jungle.
Yes, already massive benefits here, but you see that the Lian Po is already sort of navigating to that mid lane because, again, the Mai Shiranui going against the control utility mage like the Lady Chen is a really hard matchup for them to face, but you can't really be putting the Fang there in the mid lane against the Lady Chen and then Mai going against the Lady Sun. It's a little bit of the same old song and dance, but there we go. ABH looking for the first blood, keeping it true and tested there with their first blood rate. Loop Esports coming in, Jing baby, taking down Musang King.
Yeah, beautiful, and this is going to be a recovery attempt here. Kank actually gets out, what the heck?
Yes, almost gets caught there. Oh, very close on the side of Loop Esports, almost dropping their first death, which they don't really want to be taken here. They want as much lead as possible in this game one. And currently right now they are, and it's all thanks to ABH getting that first blood on Jing. And here is a little bit of information of Jing. So Jing's most common combo is the 1-2 ult, as we just see in here with ABH. Perfectly timed, perfectly executed. Is that going to be a double kill? Oh, it's a 2 kills nonetheless. It is Kanka taking up the kill onto the Lady Chen as well. Loops are not here to mess around, Kin. Things are looking a little bit shaky for the Malaysian team.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely not what the Malaysians expected at this point. But Loops, we know their power and we know their strength as well. And Loops having a 3-0 lead in the first 2.5 minutes is a very strong showing of where they are at in this game right now.
Yep, I mean, I was alluding to in the intro that LGD have not been the team to pull punches, but currently it looks like Loops have been pulling some punches throughout the entire of this tournament. They are definitely in it to win it. I mean, 3 kills ahead. This is nothing strange for LGD to be witnessing here like a week early game. We know that they prioritize the farm. They like to get that gold lead, or at least try and sort of maintain the gold lead from not being so far away from their own. I mean, even though Loops is 3 kills up, they're able to still be sustaining a 1.4k lead. It's not massive at this point, but I think that's all down to the likes of the Musang King just getting that really clear, really fast jungle rotations.
Yeah, at this point, oh, hang on.
Potential. Kanka going in with the first ability. Okay, Lady Shen going in with the ult there, but we see that Mai is into the back of the line on target ability. Comes through from Yu Huan, and she does be a little bit safe there, thanks to the untargetability of the Yu Huan skill set. Motsu coming in with that lung obnoxious stun, though, from that first skill, trying to set up some plays here. Fang's being a little bit too aggressive. Zeri almost got the kill onto the Lady Sun. I feel like the pressure and the appearance of the first Tyrant was the reason why Lady Sun was able to survive. Kanka looking pretty low, or denying the brawl onto the Tyrant. We do see the LGD are able to take the Tyrant in the first part of the game.
Yeah, interesting that happens, right? Because of the domination for the side of Loops. It looks like they will play more objective-based turrets here. They want to go for that T1 on the top, and looks like Zeri will take the tier 1 on the bot as well. So for the first time in the tournament, I think LGD being out macroed.
Has destroyed a tower.
Yeah, I mean, do we expect anything less from Loops? We've always said that Loops, the only time they generally struggle is closing out those late games. I mean, not quite to the extent of Osiris, but okay, fourth kill going over to the side of Loops, and they're not done yet. We see the ultimate shell come through from JR, but then JR gets taken down by the Jing. That is a 2-1 trade for Loop Esports. That it was favorably and fantastically executed there by the Brazilian second seed. If this is how the second seed's playing against what we could consider as Malaysia's first seed, Kin, what's that got in store for Team Secret?
I mean, if you look at Loops, right, they're giving LGD a taste of their own medicine, right? So at this point, this is what LGD has been doing to every single team that they've come up against. But Loops, for the first time, they're showing them, hey, this is what it feels like.
Yeah, definitely doesn't like. I mean, what is it they say? Sometimes, is it bad medicine? I'm not too sure to say it. I'm going to muff it up here, so I'm not going to proceed that one. But Miffy gets taken down by Musang King, so we see that a second kill over to the side of LGD is taken by Musang King, and that is definitely the taste of bad medicine on the side of Loop Esports, losing the second kill already over to the side of the Malaysian team. We're seeing a heavy presence here in the mid lane. We saw Liam Po going in with what sort of was starting to see a start of an engage, but then they realized there was no minion wave. They couldn't really push that mid lane turret, and now they've all backed off and looking for a reset, looking for a few more clears within the jungle.
Yep, at this point, I'm very confident that Loops is going to have the early game lead for sure. But like you mentioned, right, it's all about closing the game, and that has been something that Loops has been struggling with since the group stages. And I think the way LGD has drafted, it's kind of intuitive for them to play the late game as well, because later on, I don't think it's that easy to, number one, get past Sir, and number two, kill him off as well.
I mean, paired with the Lady Sun as well, and we all know, those that have been watching since day one and play this game know that Lady Sun is a late game hero, but ABH taking a few too many shots there, too many cheap shots being taken onto the side of Loop Esports that could really make a difference in this mid lane mashup, with the ultimate shell coming through from the Lady Sun, and the mid lane T1 is taken by the side of LGD. This is the classic LGD memo. If it's not the sidelines, it's those mid lanes, but Motsu coming through with the stun staving. Zeri as well, that could have been a clean kill, but Xiang was able to get out alive.
Yep, it's a tough one, right? You can start to see where Loops might have chinks in the armor at this point. And LGD, they are mounting their comeback slowly but surely, because right now JR hasn't been kind of restricted in terms of growth. He is similar in terms of the farm levels with this area as well.
Once again, classic LGD just being able to maintain the safe distance for the gold difference, because it's not huge, it's not nothing. You'll be like, if you're on Loops, you kind of, and you're doing so well, you'd be like, man, why is our gold just not that far ahead? But this is what LGD have tried and tested, and they know works. Nice double man CC from the Motsu's first ability there. Charlotte could potentially be getting picked off here. It is a 4v1. Yes, there we go. Siang gets taken down by Tempest in the farm lane, and the T2 falls as well. Can we get an Azure Golem? Oh, ABH steals it, but are they going to kill ABH? Yes, they do. So Z is able to clear them up, but Musa and King going untargetable. They are going to take a clean team fight here, taking down the Fang as well. That was a, what, 4-1 trade on the side of LGD, and they have a strong minion wave here in the mid lane, and only Mine to stop it.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, right? So LGD, they understand that, hey, yes, there is an early game power spike for the side of Loops, but here comes their own, right? At the 9-minute mark, with 1 more minute before the shadow versions of the Tyrant Overlord show, I think this is the perfect timing for LGD to really hit their stride as well.
Definitely hitting their stride. They have finally taken the gold lead, so this is what we were always saying, or from the word go, it seems, Kin, is that LGD just love to play a bit of a mind game with that gold lead. You like to lull the enemy team into a false sense of security like they have with Loop Esports here. Loop Esports had the gold difference all the way in their favor until the point of that mid lane mashup. I mean, I don't call it mid lane mashup. It was all around that Azure Golem, just completely baiting the side of Team Loops Esports. But it seems like a little bit of a calm before the storm going on here, Kin.
Yeah, for sure. If you take a look at the difference of itemization, right? Kanker actually went for a more aggressive item build. We have the Splendor on Zihong, and I think that might be a small itemization difference that might bait Loops in for a horrible fight against LGD.
Yeah, you're not wrong there at all, Kin. Lovely itemization breakdown. But what we're seeing here is a potential breakdown of the Shadow Tyrant. They do start it, but is it going to reset? Lady Shen already procced in that first skill onto the back line of Loop Esports, doing a little bit of damage before the team fight. Miffy taking loads of damage there from not only the ultimate shell, but also Lady Shen with her abilities, and they're already making quick succession of this Shadow Tyrant. Mai and Jing are already trying to position themselves into the team fight. It's not quite going to work. They are being kept away from the Shadow Tyrant thanks to the Liam Poe, and this is the great potential. Oh, there we go. Double man knockup. We see Miffy's already taken down, so no more stun for you on the side of Loop Esports. Jing may get caught out here as well. The Azure Golem does go to ABH, however, but Mayin Tempest, he's on the wrong neighborhood, homie. You want to get out of there. If you try and create some distance, you may escape from LGD.
Yep, they will not be distracted from the true objective, which is actually the Overlord at this point. And this is a Shadow Overlord, so Shadow Vanguards will spawn. I think it's a good job by the side of Tempest to try and cut the waves as well. They should try and get something, a positive trait somewhere else in the map as well.
I mean, look at it so far. I mean, Loops have no jungle objective as of yet, so this Shadow Tyrant, I mean, the Shadow Overlord could have done them the whole world's a difference, considering that their whole mid lane has been decimated. There we go, Lady Shen with the untargetability thanks to her new skill, but there we go. Jerry is able to take it down thanks to the damage over time from that first skill of the Fang hero, but we saw a potential assault there onto the higher ground turret. It has seemed a little bit damaged on the side of LGD on the farm lane, but now the LGD do have the Shadow Vanguard in their possession. I think this could be the most aggressive push on all lanes right now from LGD.
Oh, for sure. And if you take a look at itemization, I'm a little bit concerned for the side of Miffy here. Actually going for the Dawnlight here. Not going to be completed just yet, but they need a little bit more because they need to provide room for Zere as well as Kank. They're really just going for the kills, and as it stands now, they don't have a proper front liner. Tempest is meant to catch the back lines, or at least catch them in a group, and that doesn't leave a lot of window for the side of Loops to get a initiation coming in.
Yeah, Loops is looking for a wide angle here, it seems, onto the Hue-1, but you don't want to be caught out, especially when she is very close by to the Liam Poe. But we saw what ABH was doing there, pushing that minion wave into the farm lane, hoping to try and get one of the higher ground turrets before the side of LGD, because I feel like that would really help them here, Ken, because as we've been saying for majority of the match now, that Loops' weak part of the game is that late game. So trying to get the higher ground turret before the side of LGD LGD, I feel like would put a lot of immense pressure in one of these lanes and would just free up Loops to try and actually play as a team in a team fight.
Yeah, you know, one of the win conditions for the side of Loops is actually the play by Kank. Hang on.
Uh-oh. A little bit of deep water there. None to be frowned upon, but Liempo actually not doing anything. We saw a potential engage that seemed quite... It could have been fruitful. It could have been fruitful if LGD were closer to the whole play. Unfortunately, nothing came from that, Kin. I think Loops got off that one scot-free, and at this point in the game, going into the 14-minute mark, I think that is probably a blessing on the side of the Brazilian team.
Yeah, for sure, because at this point, there isn't much to fight over in the map just yet. Maybe the Zero Golem that's going to be coming up. But, oh, hang on, Xiang catches 2.
Oh, yes, almost catching 2. Liempo going in. They're all looking pretty low, focusing the Fang. Fang is able to roll out with the second skill. Again, how many times are Loop's gonna be able to get out of these team fights scot-free without losing any of the heroes? I mean, yes, we've had to have a recall from ABH, which is not great, knowing that the Shadow Tyrant is up once again, and still Loops at the nil point of the jungle objectives. Kin, is this going to be where it all changes around? We see that Jing is aggressively going forward, but we see that LGD is able to pull the Shadow Tyrant away from them, but there's still a deny of access to the jungle objective once again. A great damage buff going to LGD.
Yeah, as it stands now, I think Loops, they have about a 2-minute window before the next game-winning play. That's what we're looking at, right? So Loops, I think they need to make sure that Mithy and Kank do get something out of the next fight. They are the win conditions.
Here we go. Again, massive Liempo engaged, not quite landing the third wave of that ultimate from the Liempo. Being able to get out of there without any sort of casualties is maybe and potentially Loop's third and final fateful attempt of trying to lead these fights without dying. But it's all surrounding this Shadow Overlord, Kin. I feel like what goes wrong here is going to really put the conclusion on this match, because if they get the Shadow Overlord onto the side of LGD, which they have Primal Bond, so it's going to be a little bit harder for them to actually run the Shadow Overlord down. We see that ABH is already trying to put a pressure there onto the side lane. It's I'm not too sure where they're going to go with this. Fang is not quite in the team fight. He's looking for trying to potentially take out the Lady Sun, but again, Lady Sun was able to disengage within the right amount of time. However, the minion wave is in that farm lane, and we could see the high ground turret fall here.
Yep, that would be a huge mistake for the side of LGD. Loop trying to capitalize.
Oh, there we go. Finally, it has been broken. The curse, the seal has now broken on the side of Loop Esports, being able to take the Shadow Overlord, not being able to quite take that high ground turret. It is very, very low. So I feel like that is their next point of call. If Loops can just get a few kills into this next interaction between these two teams, Mithy with a nice long-range stun, I feel like we could potentially see Loops try and finish this game.
Yep, they could. All they need is a broken tower on that bottom lane. That would be great. Right now, it's really about map control. And so if Loops can get better map control for the next 2 to 3 minutes, it would make the world's difference going up against LGD, because there will be more things that LGD needs to watch out for.
Yeah, Miffy just trying to give the intelligence over that there are plenty of the side of LGD in that mid lane, but they have a fast rotation. We see that Liempo has not quite used that ultimate yet, trying to keep it on until it's not just Mayeen that's going to be the fallen victim. She's able to parkour out of the team fight. However, still keeping it alive, Shadow Vanguard, and Vanguard is into the clash lane, but Lady Sun here to try and make sure work of it with that fast wave clear. Look how fast she's melting that Shadow Vanguard now that she is pretty much a few items into her itemization.
Yep, so they have pretty decent wave clear. Both teams do have this as well. Right now, like I said, it's really who gets the first initiation, right? And at this point, it falls a lot on Kanka as well as Mithy as well. If they can land the Cannon Blast, they can land the knockouts from the Mai Shiranui, it will make the opening a little bit clearer for the side of Loops to jump in. But until then, it is still LGD pretty much in control.
So before we get the next sort of hype moment, Kin, what do you feel like's working here towards this mid to late game on the side of Loops, and what's not working? Me personally, I feel like because they have the Motsu now and they're playing on the back foot, it seems to be a little bit harder for them, whereas in that early to mid game, because they were ahead of the gold and just ahead of these rotations and being super aggressive, the Motsu definitely shined more then. What's your feelings on this one?
I think Mithy needs to be less defensive at this point, right? One of the strengths of Loop's lineup is the fact that they're able to poke from afar. And at this point, Mithy, it would do great for him if he has the Mask of Agony. He can melt her down a little bit more. And at this point, I don't see how they're going to be able to contest for this Shadow Tyrant at this point. Yep, so it's going to be a simple one.
Yeah, Liam Poe he's such a great hero to just keep the side of Loop Esports off of it. And I mean, we've seen maybe 3 Tyrants now where Liam Poe has just been able to beautifully, just without even dying as well, which I think really shows the player skill of G on the side of LGD, is that you're going into the thick of it, you're keeping that jungle objective alive and kept regardless from the side of Loop Esports. And it's happening multiple times. It's just sort of like really good pickup here for the Liam Poe, I feel like, into the draft.
Yeah, it's difficult because he has the Long Night Guardian as well with the Frigid Charge. So he does have plenty of armor, plenty of health regen. And with the Ominous Premonition, he's going to slow down the attack speed, the movement speed on the side of Loops as well, which makes it easier for him to get, that multiple man Tremor Smash, as well as the first and second skill combinations, Burst Ram into Magma Slam, back into the Burst Ram again. There's a lot of CC coming out from LGD. So Loops, they really need to start to being able to really just burn and peel away the health bars of LGD, which is why I hold the notion that Mithy, he needs to go for the Mask of Agony. He's tanky enough at this point. They don't really get to go into a face-to-face fight, right? Just get the pokes in first.
Yep, get the pokes in, do enough damage before you get into a team fight or any sort of altercation, and then we'll see what happens from there. But we're already seeing quite an aggressive push here, pushing the side of Loop Esports back into what seems like their high ground turrets vicinity rather than the Tempest Dragon. We see that Mayin is looking for a bit of a macro push there up into the Clash Lane, but Charlotte is lucky enough to sort of try and nip that in the bud. There's not really much there in terms of the Clash Lane wave yet, but still trying to bait this Tempest Dragon teamfight, it seems, Kin. It's definitely slowed down in terms of the all-out brawly, chaotic team fights. There seems to be some sort of communication come from to the side of Loop Esports, but speaking of coming from the side, we see that Fang, ABH, the Sage Sanctuary coming through just to try and save Jing there. We see the Splendor as well, but that's not going to be enough for this Tremor Smash, and we see that Liam Poe is able to just set up a beautiful team fight here on the side of LGD. That is a 3-0 trade so far, and they have a fantastic push here set up for the mid lane, but they only have Mithy, they only have Tempest to try and clear these minions in the mid lane, but that high ground turret is definitely falling thanks to the Lady Sun. We see that Liam Poe is tanking a lot of those shots from the Crystal, but it's not just quite done yet. We see that Tempest is just trying to kill or something, get something from this team fight as Siang is trying to keep the Motsu away, but that is game 1 going over to the side of LGD. What didn't look like a strong early game for them was definitely a